What's going on YouTube? Cloverbell's here back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're finally releasing 3 rental teams that you can use for Series 1 VGC. Yes, I know this is about 18 days late because I normally put out about 4 or 5 teams at the beginning of the month to try out, but because it was a new game and people were playing the new game and then you had to gather Terra Shards to go for terrestrialization, I just did not have the time to do all of that. So I took a step back and then just focused on analytical content for most of the time on the channel this past month or so. But now finally we have some rental teams to at least put out there for some of you guys to try out, and might as well give it a go, right? And after we put out these teams, we're going to showcase how they work on ranked ladder. Finally, we'll have some battle content. Throughout the channel on Sword and Shield, we always had battle content, right? And we always had team building videos, but I took a step back from those two and just focus more on like meta analysis stuff, right? I think that was also important, and now we can always still add that. So now the channel has good variety. It's not just battles, it's not just team building videos. Now we have like analytical meta content, right? So but again, this is all about battle content now for at least for these next few videos, and hopefully you guys enjoy some of these rentals. So without further ado, let's go ahead and release the first rental team. All right, with the first rental that we're gonna put out here is our Garchomp Tyranitar squad. So we did a team building video on this about a week or so, or maybe like 2 weeks ago, but we've made some adjustments since then. We've actually gone with the Volcarona option this time, right? And as far as the Rotom Heat, we still kept our Rotom on the team though. We opted for Rotom Wash instead of the Rotom Heat, and then we still kept the Amoonguss, right? But then we also took out the Garchomp because we already have a Rotom Wash here. Now, the idea here is, again, with Garchomp Tyranitar, you have the Sand Boys, as I like to call them. Tyranitar can get the sand stream going. The Garchomp can benefit from the sand with the Sand Veil instead of the Rough Skin. So hopefully you can get some evasive hacks. I know when I was testing, I got some lucky evasive, from evasion from some hits. So it really pays off if you can get it, and it's a Life Orb set with pretty much max speed. We'll show the Pokepaste in a second, but it's 3 attack moves and protect, of course. Tyranitar, we opted for, instead of like a Lumberry or Weakness Posse set, we've actually made a late change to Assault Vest, and this is something that has been rising with the Lycanroc builds. Basically with the Assault Vest and the Terra Flying, you're able to go for Ice Punch, which is good against opposing Garchomps, because if you can look at this team, right, we don't have anything really for an opposing Garchomp other than our own Garchomp. So Ice Punch gives us that leeway. And then with Terra Blast, you also have Terra Flying. But what's also good about this with Garchomp is because when you opt for Terra Flying, you're able to Earthquake next to your own Tyranitar, which is actually really, really nice, and I like that idea. So I went ahead and made the change. It just made a lot of sense, and of course you have the dual Rock Slide spam for both Garchomp and Tyranitar, of course. Crunch is really good, good against Psychic stuff like Armor Rouge, Indeedee, things that just don't want to be taking dark moves. Really, really good there. Corviknight, again, another one of the Pokemon that I had in my top 6 as far as underrated options, and this is what's going to give the speed control on the team. You have Tailwind support, and then you also have like endgame options with bulk up stuff. So if you're able to go with a one-on-one scenario where you're against a physical attacker, you'll always win that game because you have bulk up and roost. So you can always just recover after taking some damage and then just slowly chip away at your opponent by just going for Brave Birds, right? So there's the option there. The Volcarona also is a really nice option that I liked a lot right now in this meta, just because it's good against Goldango, right? And with Heat Wave, Quiver Dance, and Bug Buzz, you're able to put on a bunch of pressure, especially after a Quiver Dance boost, which I think is really, really nice. You can even lead the Amoonguss Volcarona, Rage Powder, then get a Quiver Dance off, and then, Volcarona could potentially sweep teams, right? So we went with a bulkier set, but it's still a pretty good damage dealing set. You'll see the EVs in a second, but yeah, two attack moves, 1 set of move and protect. Rotom, so this is actually not my Rotom idea. Originally, this team made sense if you had Grimmsnarl in the Tyranitar slot. So it would be Garchomp, Grimmsnarl, Corviknight, Volcarona, Rotom, and Amoonguss. That made sense, but I wanted to use Tyranitar with Garchomp, but then I would have to give up the screens on the Grimmsnarl, so I was kind of stuck. But then I saw my guy Joe, the other Joe. He had a Rotom screen set that he was using in his recent tours, and when I saw that, I was like, that's exactly what this team needs. So I was like, yoink. So shout outs to Joe for the Rotom. He did not, we don't have his EV spreads, of course. We made our own EV spreads, which again, we will show in a second. But the idea is we don't lose the screens now, so we're able to go for screens Rotom. And I was testing it out, and it was actually really, really nice because people don't expect it right now, and they're able to give you the chance to even set it up. And now Garchomp, Tyranitar, even Corviknight just hide behind screens, and then they're just dealing a bunch of damage, and it's hard to break through, right? And of course the Amoonguss, really, really good into the Trick Room stuff. Also good against Dondozo because you can clear smog, their damage boosts, and pretty much all their boosts actually. So it's really, really nice there. And of course, you're able to redirect and help set up Tailwind, or redirect and help set up Bulk Ups. So, it's just a really good supportive bulky Pokemon overall and in general. And again, we have the Fire, Water, Grass card with the Volcarona, Rotom, and Amoonguss. So it just makes sense on this kind of team. And you have a Dragon and a Steel type. No Fairy option here, but that's okay. I still really like where this team is in terms of like a defensive approach. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to it. So let's just go ahead and look at the Pokepaste and see what our EV spreads are like. All right, so looking at the Pokepaste here, so let's start with Garchomp here. So Max Speed Jolly is what we want for this type of team. So this way, at the very least, if we go against other Garchomps, we can at least rely on a speed tie for that matter. And then for the HP investment, 44 HP, that'll get us to 189 HP stat, which is good. If we have the Life Orb, it'll optimize the Life Orb chip damage. So 189 divided by 10, 18.9, which rounds down to 18 damage per turn in terms of Life Orb chip damage. And then from there, you just put the remaining into the bulk, and then of course 204 attack, right? Because that's all you have left. Tyranitar was actually really interesting. So again, with the Tyranitar set, with the Terra Flying, you're able to, again, Earthquake next to your own Tyranitar, which is really nice. But the speed investment after Tailwind will just let you outspeed pretty much everything not named Talonflame or Kilowattrel. You do speed tie Meowscarada, but again, with the Terra Flying, you're able to get around that and just hit him real hard with a Terra Blast and just counter them if they go for that fighting move, if they have it, right? The Corviknight, so after, again, Tailwind, again with the 109 speed stat, you're able to outspeed everything. You're at the second EV bump in the attack stat. Same with the Tyranitar, by the way. 124 is the second EV bump there. And then with the leftovers, with a 148 HP investment, that gives you a 192 HP stat. And then if you just, figure 192 divided by 16, that's 12 HP that you'll recover from your leftovers, which is really nice. So we always want a whole number whenever we have leftovers. So that's the idea behind that HP investment. And of course, again, the last remaining 8 points just go into defense and special defense. The Amoonguss, again, a very standard Amoonguss set that we've used since like Sword and Shield. The 236 HP investment gets you to 219 HP stat. So this way, when you pivot it out and get HP recovery, you're able to get a flat 73 HP recovered back instead of a decimal. Then you have the second EV bump in the Relaxed Nature set, which in this case is defense. And then the remaining points just went into special defense, right? Just to be a bulky mushroom. The Rotom Wash, again, like we mentioned, this is, again, we don't have Joe's EV spread, but we made our own. So basically all we really wanted to do was just have a bulky Rotom. So max HP was the way to go. And then second EV bump in the special attack investment. And then the rest just went into speed and then defense and special defense, right? I wasn't really trying to count for anything. I just wanted like a general Rotom spread, and this is something that was used even like in Sword and Shield. So I figured let's just bring it back here for the sake of it, and then here it is. All right, Volcarona. So 140 speed investment gets you to 138 speed, which will outspeed max speed modest Goldangos. So that's always important. So this way we can hit him right back with the Heat Wave. And then with the 116 special attack investment, that's the second bump in the Modest Nature. And then with the 220 HP, that gives you a nice even number where you can recover, I believe, 47 HP from your Citrus Berry, which is really nice. So that's always good. And then the rest just went into 28 defense and 4 special defense, right? And of course, with the Quiver Dance, you're able to get +1 into your special attack, special defense, and speed. So, all those boosts are very much welcome. But yeah, that's the way the team works. Again, you can go with like Garchomp, Tyranitar as a lead, just put on a bunch of pressure with Rock Slide. You can even go for Earthquake, Terra Flying turn 1, surprise your opponent, and then, you can even go for like late game Corviknight with either Volcarona or Rotom Wash in the back to finish things off, right? On the flip side, you could go with like Amoonguss Garchomp or Amoonguss Volcarona rather, or Amogus Corviknight, set up your Tailwind, set up your Quiver Dance, and then either bring in Tyranitar or Garchomp in the back to, hopefully finish things off. Rotom screens are also important, so if you want, you could do like a Rotom Wash Corviknight lead with Tailwind and then set up screens, and then have either one of the big hitters, either Garchomp, Tyranitar, or Volcarona in the back to come in and finish the job behind those screens, right? So that's the way the team works. So now let's just move on to our second rental of the night. All right, our next rental team is a Dondozo team. Now, this is a team that I made for someone as part of a tier 3 sub to the channel. So someone wanted to do some team building with Dondozo Tatsugiri, and they did a team building session with me, and they were kind enough to make the rental for me. So this way it saves me a slot when I make future teams. So shout outs to Bryce. Thanks again. And this is what we came up with. So they wanted Dondozo Tatsugiri, so we opted for Liquidation, Order of Earthquake, and a subset with leftovers. I felt like that was still pretty good at the time. I will note that this team was made about 7 or 8 days ago, so maybe some things have changed, but overall it's still a pretty good team. Tatsugiri, Choice Scarf, that's also relatively standard with Muddy Water, Icy Wind, Hydro Pump, and Draco Meter. Very, very standard set there. So Tatsugiri in itself is a speed control option where you can just lead it with Icy Wind support, so that's always really nice. And then you have the Merkit Ring boys, right, with Murkrow, Goldango, Garchomp, and Hydreigon, things we've seen before. But the sets are what's always interesting. So, of course, Murkrow, we have Foul Play, Tailwind, Haze, and Taunt. That's actually relatively standard with the Eviolite. If it were up to me, maybe I'd go for like a Focus Sash there, but in the end, it was just opted for the Eviolite, right? The Goldango, so the Goldango, instead of something like Nasty Plot, I just wanted to do a little bit more damage and have a nice little tech option with Thunderbolt. So this is able to pick up other flying type options, also not bad into other Dondozos that don't go for Dragon Terras, but it's also a really nice tech move against some stuff like Palafin, which is also rising now. The Pelipper is also rising all of a sudden. So those rain teams, this is a great tech option for them. And of course, you have the standard Make It Rain Shadow Ball stuff, right? Garchomp, so no Life Orb on the Garchomp because we put on the Goldango. We've instead opted for Clear Amulet. And again, this is a 3-attack Garchomp. So with Earthquake, Dragon Claw, and Rock Slide, it's just really nice with Protect. And then over here with the Hydreigon set, it's an Assault Vest with Heat Wave. So a Modest Natured Hydreigon. So really, really nice for the Terrafire option. You're able to pick up like other Goldangos and Meowscaradas. Now, I will note that if they are like a bulky Goldango, then you just don't pick up the KO with the Heat Wave, especially with our investment. But, if I were to make a change, then I would just opt for like Flamethrower. But that being said, Heat Wave is still a very consistent option as far as like a fire move, right? Another thing I would probably try and opt for is maybe even like Swords Dance instead of the Rock Slide, but Rock Slide is still a pretty good option on the Garchomp. And again, this is a bulky Garchomp as well. This is, I believe, it's our Adamant Natured Garchomp instead of our Jolly Speed one. So that's always interesting to use. But yeah, you'll get to see it in the Pokepaste and see how we did our spreads. So let's just go ahead and go over there. One day, Showdown will make it so that these images will be displayed as far as like the new Pokemon. But let's just go ahead and take a look here. So we got the Dondozo first. So again, we already know the moveset here. Now with the speed tier with 69, with 108 speed, you're able to go to 69, and after the Omni Boost, that'll take you to 138, which will outspeed the Modest Goldangos, which is actually really, really nice. Now, Hydreigon does the same thing, but Dondozo and Hydreigon can't really be on the same field at the same time with that Omni Boost, so no fear there in terms of speed tying. The rest, you always really want, or almost most of the time, you want max attack on the Dondozo because 100 base attack it's okay, but it's not like super great. So even with the Omniboost, it's like So max attack is still pretty good, and of course you have a little bit of special defense there. Just a little bit, just to optimize it a little bit because you're getting all these boosts. Your defense stat is already really good, base 115, so you might as well just invest in special defense and just trying to be bulky. And that's where the leftovers were, the leftover EVs went into right now. Normally, I would try and optimize the leftovers with something like this, but I just felt like, it's already like base 150 HP. Do I really need any more HP on Dondozo? Not really. So I just put it in there, just whatever was left. Tatsugiri, of course, Timid Nature, 252 speed. Really all there is to it. And then, of course, you're just a fast Icy Windmon. When you're not in Dondozo, you're just getting speed control for your opponent. I'm sorry, for you, not for your opponent. Our Goldango is a bulky Goldango spread, so meant to outspeed Dragon Pulse after Tailwind, so it's always a really nice option. Meant to outspeed the Speed Creepers actually. And then you have the Life Orb optimization, 1 off, just to have a little bit more speed than the other Goldangos. So 188 as opposed to 189 HP. And then you have the Garchomp. Again, this is our bulky Garchomp. So this is something where oh, actually they didn't put Swords Dance on this. Oh, wow. Yeah, because like when I built this, I put Swords Dance. All right, so there's no Swords Dance. Doesn't matter. That's okay. We'll still opt for Rock Slide. I just noticed this actually. But still okay. And again, this is where you'll note that where I can make some changes, right? So Swords Dance in the pace, but not in the rental. So I'll let the maker know. I thought that was fixed, but I guess we didn't talk about it. But anyway, still, what this does with this bulk, it'll survive Mouse Hold, Technician, Mouse Hold Population Bomb. So that's always really nice. Hydreigon here. With the Assault Vest here, again, like we said, this speed investment will outspeed max speed Goldangos, and then you just hit the second bump in the Modest Nature, and then the rest just went into HP, and then still a little bit of special defense just to optimize your Assault Vest, so this way you have a nice whole number rather than a decimal, otherwise it would round down. And then, of course, you are Terrified just to get a little bit more out of your Heat Wave, so then you can potentially also pick up the Goldangos. And then standard Dark Pulse Draco Meteor, and then Stab Snarl is actually really nice for special damage reduction. So, great for Hydreigon having that. Right, that's better than the Arcanine. Murkrow, I would probably put a Focus Sash here if I had to remake this, 8 days later, of course. But we just went with a bulky Murkrow spread with the Eviolite. So Tailwind, Foul Play, Haze, and Taunt, really good against other Dondozos to remove their buffs, and also good against other Swords Dance, other Nasty Plot users, other Dragon Dance users, so you can always remove those with Haze. And then you can also remove the debuff that you get with Make It Rain. Of course, with the Haze, you just remove that, and then you can just spam Haze, Make It Rain, and then just win the game from there, just like that. And it's also really good with Draco Meteor, because with Draco Meteor you get a special attack reduction, but Haze just removes that, and you can just keep spamming this. And you are Modest Nature, right? So you're dealing more damage than a Timid Nature. Which is also really nice. So this is the Dondozo team that we made, and again, if you're interested in something like this, that is a tier 3 sub to the channel, where you, the viewer, get to schedule a team building session with me, and then we make the team from scratch. I show you how to do all the EVs, and then if you want, you're free to make the rental, and then I'll put it in the video like we're doing here. So yeah, now let's go back to our third and final team for this rental code video. Okay, so this one is the Palafin offensive team that we made. It's in the team building video that we did for Palafin. This was actually really nice and interesting, and something I wanted to try. So of course the Pelipper teams are rising, and no exception here. We're going to capitalize off that, and the idea here was to use Palafin to get extra damage and also get a speed boost with Tailwind, and at the same time have other options that enjoy the rain. So something like Scizor and Meowscarada, they enjoy the rain because you take away their fire weakness. And for Scizor, fire is really much, it's pretty much your only fire weakness. And then I think that came out right? And then Meowscarada, same thing. You remove that fire weakness at the same time. Now I had to choose where to put the Focus Sash, whether it be the Pelipper or the Meowscarada. In the end, I went with the Meowscarada just because I valued the Overgrow Flower Trick stuff. So if they ever get Meowscarada to Sash, Overgrow kicks in and Flower Trick just does even more damage, right? Besides even critting. The Pelipper is a standard set with Wide Guard as the tech option of our choice. So that's really nice. And of course, Tailwind, Hurricane, and Hydro Pump are relatively standard. The Palafin is a choice band, so it's meant to do extra damage. And then that means, you're going to be hitting hard with your Jet Punches, your Flip Turns, your Close Combats. And Ice Punch really good against Garchomps. And then the Close Combat's really good against other Hydreigons or other Dark types that just don't want to take a Close Combat. Even other Steel types for that matter. Also really good. Scizor, so Bullet Punch and Swords Dance were given. Now, in the Pounce slot, I could have gone for Close Combat as well, but I went with Pounce just to get a little bit more out of Technician, and it's a good speed control move, so I figured might as well go for that. And then Protect in the last slot, and then clear Amulet just in case for the few Intimidators that are left that are still running around. Meowscarada. So in the Tailwind Mirror, you can always go for Trick Room and flip it upside their head. And then everything that you have will now outspeed them, so it's always really nice to have both forms of speed control along with the Pounce. So there's that, and of course knockoff, removing pivotal items is always really nice. It's a stat move, and then protect in the last slot. Hydreigon, it's pretty much the same Hydreigon as our other one, with Draco Meteor, Dark Pulse, Snarl, and Heat Wave. And then Grimmsnarl, back to our Grimmsnarl set. So this is a Babiri one, again meant to take the Goldango, Make It Rain, especially the choice spec stuff with the light screen benefit. It's also really good. And you, of course, you have Reflect and Spirit Break, to neuter special attackers, and then Taunt to stop any kind of setup, stop Tailwind, stop Trick Rooms. So Prankster Taunt is always really good. Just be aware of the dark times, right? So I really like this team. I was testing it quite a bit a couple days ago, and I found that it was really nice, especially the Meowscarada on this team is actually really, really good. Palafin often is just coming in as the finisher, but like if you can get a lot of damage done with your like Scizor, Meowscarada, and even Hydreigon, then Palafin sometimes just doesn't even get to come. But it does do a lot of damage in the beginning if you're able to get a flip turn off and then just pivot into some like really, really nice bulky hard hitting option, right? And that's the idea here. And wide guard, a very timed wide guard can really surprise the opponent, and I pulled it off a couple times, and then you just win the game off of that, right? But yeah, let's just go ahead and take a look at the EV spreads. Okay, so here's our EV spreads here, and again, I just want to move it so you can see our scissor speed. It's 100 speed. So I'll start with the above bonds. So the Palafin and Pelipper are relatively straightforward. So with the Palafin, the choice band, you're getting extra damage. So that means I kind of have to go Jolly Nature max speed just so that I can have some speed on our Palafin besides the Tailwind stuff. But again, it's relatively standard, almost max on both stats. Pelipper, same idea, max both stats. The Scizor with the 100 speed investment, so you're able to outspeed Talonflame with Tailwind, so there is the idea there. And then with the 156 attack, that's the second bump in the attack nature, and then the rest just went into HP and 1 point in defense and special defense. Alright, the Hydreigon is the same Hydreigon as our last one. Again, 156 speed brings it to 138, able to outspeed max speed modest Goldangos. You hit the bump in the modest nature, and the rest just went into your bulk. And the Grimmsnarl, same idea here. We just went for our bump in our careful nature. Max HP with 124 defense is what was left over. And again, with the Babiri Berry, able to survive the Make It Rain from the Goldango, right? Especially like the choice spec stuff. The speed was just like leftover stuff, just to outspeed maybe other Grimmsnarls that don't have any speed. But that's really all there was to it. It's a very simple spread with this Tailwind kind of team. But the way it functions, again, is once you get the rain out, the Scizor and the Meowscarada are a little bit tricky to remove because you're essentially removing one of their weaknesses with the rain, and that being fire. The Hydreigon comes in behind screens. This is actually really, really nice because you're even more bulkier. You're just able to deal a lot of damage with Dark Pulse and Heat Waves and even Snarls. The Pelipper, believe it or not, can come in clutch if you can surprise the opponent with wide guards. Tailwind support, of course, and Hydro Pumps in the rain is just really, really hard hitting. And of course, all of Palafin's moves, besides like Close Combat and Ice Punch, in the rain, they also hit really hard. Choice Band is a really good item for it. And if you can give it speed control like we have here, it just does so much damage. So yeah, that's the team. And again, if you're able to pull off a Trick Room with Meowscarada against those opposing Tailwind teams, then it's also really, really nice. So definitely give it a go. It's another kind of Tailwind variant that, it's just different than like Murkrow, Garchomp, Goldango, and Hydreigon, right? This is a little bit more in terms of like the weather teams, but it's still really, really fun to try out. So yeah, there it is. All right, folks. So those were all three teams. Again, you had the Garchomp Tyranitar squad, you had the Palafin Tailwind squad, and of course the Dondozo Tatsugiri squad that was made by my tier sub. So definitely give them all a go. Let me know which one you try. We're going to showcase all three of them on the ladder in these next few videos, but we're still going to focus also on our analytical meta content as we've been doing throughout the entire month. So this way we get a good mix of videos on the channel, within these next week or two. So yeah, we'll be back with another video in the next one, guys. Peace out and have a good night.